I really need to turn off the fan. Is that better? I'm gonna sweat so much in this video. Can I just do this topless? Am I recording? Oh. Hey guys, welcome back to this inconsistent channel. Finally, after more than a year, I have made a new video. Well, I guess that makes my channel consistent for uploading videos annually. You know what, I really wanted to settle for mediocrity since that's like the original point of this whole channel and who I am as a person, but, well... So, it's been a year, and for the past couple of months, we've all been cooped up in our homes because of the pandemic that has stricken our nation and the world alike. And so far it's a bummer. And as you can see in comparison to my previous videos, immobility did not bode well on me. Yeah. But enough of that. This video is an introduction to a new content in my channel, which I really hope I can maintain. Among other pending content that have not come to fruition. This will be all about photography. I don't know why I'm saying it that weird. On this very first episode, I'll basically be introducing myself as a photographer, street photographer, and what goes on beneath and amongst it. I started doing photography roughly 2 years ago. I am using a Panasonic Lumix G85 or G80 depending on where you're from. It has a micro four thirds crop sensor, and so far it has been a very okay camera. Now I say okay, not because it's bad or not that great in any way, because honestly it is a really great camera, but as a street photographer, it's not really the best choice, because as a street photographer, you need to be sneaky, you need to be invisible in the eyes of the people, and honestly, the body design of G85 is not very conducive for street photography. Much like music or film, photography also has its genres and categories. And as I've already mentioned, I focus mainly on street photography. Now I'm not going to go too deep on explaining what street photography is, because I'll probably just do that in a different separate video. But in a general sense, street photography is about, well, the streets. Now it doesn't literally mean just the streets, you know. Street photography is more on the human lives as a community or as a society. And it takes on such a poetic outlook on both the normal and extravagant daily lives of humans. Street photography's focus could be about people, buildings, animals, places, or just about anything that happens inside a community of humans or non-humans. With that being said, I of course have tried doing other types of photography. I mean, like I said, I only focus on street photography, but you know, I still try to do a lot of other things. As in, I've tried taking astrophotography shots, landscape, wildlife, portraits. I did events at some point, and I also did a sort of a prenup photo shoot for my friend. Each photographer sees things and takes photos differently. I personally, actually I'm not sure how I take my shots. I mean, like, in terms of composition, I think I like taking photos that has a subject. Like, I have a hard time taking photos of aesthetics, patterns, and geometry and such. I always make sure that there's something there in the photo, that's something to look at or something happening. But of course, with that said, I of course have taken shots without a subject, such as these. My eyes tend to focus more on things than patterns. Oh, and I like taking photos of people, not portraits, just people, candidly. That might have sounded creepy, but my point is, I like to show real emotions of people, whatever they're going through. in as honest way as possible. I want how they feel to reflect in my photos. Anyways, my personal style in composing my photos is basically focusing more on subjective and sentimental value rather than focusing on visual beauty and aesthetics per se. Not to say that my shots don't consider beauty, but you know, my main focus would be sentiments and emotions. Now that you've seen some of my photos, you'll notice how varied they all look like. I mean, if you look at my Instagram account and compare it to other IG accounts that you've seen, you'll notice that I don't particularly follow a pattern, nor have a constant filter that I use for all of my photos. And the reason behind that is that I believe that every photo I take deserves a different editing. I want a photo to feel how it does and how it makes me feel, and not how I want it to feel like. And I don't necessarily like to keep one look because like I said, I think every photo deserves to be different in their own way. And through my editing, together with my composition for the shot, each photo, no matter how assorted or messy they may look like as an album, will have a different story to tell. Although I really gotta admit I did a lot of experimental editing way back, which aren't really good, albeit some were actually spot on. To end this video, and to end my suffering from sweating because I can't turn on the fan because that would ruin the audio, and for you guys to have a clear picture of how my mental process goes on when editing photos, I will be editing a photo that I took a while back in 2019 that I've been dying to edit, and I really wanted to upload this for the longest time, but I think I was actually saving that photo for this video. And weirdly enough, I didn't actually edit other photos while I'm waiting for myself to do this. But anyway, let's go to editing. Okay, so I've been talking for quite a while now, and I wasn't even recording. So here, I've already imported the photos that I'm about to edit, and I'll just give a short introductory to what happened with the photo and what it is. So this was actually a time when I was experimenting on long exposure and how to use it in ways that are not specifically unique, but in different ways than you usually see. Because most of the time, when people do long exposures, the main focus is the thing that they made to expose longer. For example, making the waters smooth, or making the clouds silky or creamy, or if you're doing long exposure for the streets and you're trying to get that trail of light from the traffic, which is kind of similar to what I did, but my main focus here is not the trail of light, but the main subject here is actually this, the sign, the motorcycle sign. Right, there you go. Ooh, I like this one. I was actually on the way home here, and I just wanted to try out doing long exposure on the streets, and then I saw this motorcycle lane that barely any motorcycles were in it. So 10 photos, and most of them are actually not usable, either because it's too dark, there's no light trails, which is part of the point of the photo, or that the motorcycle sign is blurred. Oh my gosh, it's not even in the middle. But I think this one would be the most usable, I guess. Let's see if we can salvage those. So, am I still recording? Yes. Just checking. First, we would want, since this is too bright, as you can see, those red lines mean that those parts are overexposed. And basically this photo is just obviously too bright. So what we're gonna do is try and lower the highlights first. It doesn't work as much, so you could adjust the exposure, which looks better. What I want this to look like is to have a crisp look to the motorcycle side. I was planning on photoshopping this, but unfortunately I still don't know how to use Photoshop, sadly. Now, the thing about the exposure sliders is that you always don't want to go all the way down or all the way up, because most of the time beginners do that, like I did a lot, and I still kind of do in some cases, but I've learned to, you know, adjust discreetly. Now, shadows will mostly consist of, well, the shadows, but when you brighten up the shadows, usually you get a lot more detail in there, because the shadowed parts are not so shadowed anymore. If that makes sense. But for this case, I guess we'll keep the shadows at bay, because we just really want to emphasize that middle part. So let's not go too deep there. It's not too dark. Whites! Honestly, I'm still confused what the whites are. It's probably literally the white parts of the photo. Blacks basically are blacks. You don't want to go down because you're basically adding too much contrast there, which in some cases are okay, but I think here is kind of alright. So, but you don't want to go too dark. I don't want my street to look black, but it does give my the whole photo a good, nice contrast there. Now, clarity. I'm pretty sure most beginner photographers love using clarity, but in the very beginning I actually kind of liked and hated, because my eyes hurt when there's so much sharpness or too much saturation in a photo, and I see a lot of photos on Facebook that does this 100 contrast, and they think it's beautiful, and they basically ruined what do I call this? The photo. I mean, look at that. It literally looks like a well done steak. I mean, it's so overdone. You just want to go right about here, or probably if you want your photo to look dreamy. I don't know why you would want that, but yeah, you could go around here. For me, right now, I don't want a lot of clarity per se. Let's go with the 10. 10 would be okay. I don't know why I shouldn't be explaining what these are. That's for a different photo. That's for a different video, I mean. Alright, so I really don't have a complete look set in mind right now for this, but basically I don't want the road to be very dark, but I want the colors to actually pop out, but not too saturated. Maybe give it a little bit of like a muted color. Tint. I don't want it to be too warm. Let's cool it down a little bit. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's a yes for me. Oh gosh, I love that. Ooh. Okay, we have 3-4 as a basis. Let's go even lower and see. No, that's too much. Never mind. Let's go to 3-4. There we go. Wow, that is so nice. Wow. So there we have it. I have a new photo to upload on my IG. That took a while. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm kind of exhausted. I'm sweating so much in my shirt. It's not just a shadow of my head. There's actually sweat even on the back of my head. Look at that. Just look at that. That's a lot of sweat. So I'm just gonna end this because I really need to take off my shirt and dry off with a fan. I hope you enjoyed, and if you like to see a lot more of my photography and other stupid crap that I'm planning to do, please do subscribe and like this video and share it to your friends if they want some crazy mediocrity videos.